I don't know if it doesn't make sense for the Vikings. I think it does make sense for the Vikings in terms of what you got out of Darnold last year. It's hard to just let that walk out the door for nothing. And if they're looking at some way they can get him back on like a $30 million a year kind of deal, which I don't think they will because there's probably somebody who's going to go out and shell out big money for him. I think they're going to do that because you don't really know what you have in JJ McCarthy yet. He's coming off the injury, he's young. And I think they're kind of just approaching this the same way they did with Kirk Cousins, where I think they would have brought Kirk Cousins back last year and we wouldn't have even had Sam Darnold in the first place had they been able to come to terms on some kind of like shorter 2 year, 3 year maybe even deal for like 30 million ish a year versus the bag he got over in Atlanta. So I think it's probably going to be a similar situation to that. And that's probably how they're approaching this is they'd like to have him back because I mean he played great. It's hard to just let a guy like that walk. So you're going to try to come to terms on a deal, probably a shorter term kind of deal that you like and gives you that flexibility to move McCarthy in at some point. But I don't see with the sheer lack of quarterback options and the teams that really are desperate for quarterbacks, somebody's going to overpay him, and it's not going to be the Vikings. But I think it would make sense for them to try and get him back on a reasonable deal that's not going to eat all their cap, even with the other holes to fill. Just because it's hard to let a guy like that walk. And what could he do in year two after kind of jumping in 1 year and learning the offense and all that? I think there's a lot of things that would make sense for him to come back, but at a price point, and I just don't think the Vikings are going to find that price point.